welcome to our review of The Acolyte. I'm Ben Kerno. I've got my co-host.
Olympus. It's great to be here. I am so looking forward to this.
So am I. So am I. And I'm glad we're finally getting back to doing some reviews.
Absolutely.
And especially this time, Star Wars. So
Hmm.
brilliant. So there is two episodes as part of this because uh, Disney/slash Star Wars decided to drop two episodes at the beginning, which is called Lost and Found. Oh no, sorry, I rephrase that. Lost/Found, and then Revenge/Justice, which we may get into at some point on the titles.
Ooh,
So,
yes.
so you can find us on YouTube at Trek Wars and Fantasy. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts at the Acolyte Review Podcast. I hope you enjoy, and shall we get underway with the opening episode, or called Lost/Found?
Absolutely. And I think I'm going to kick this off by talking about that gorgeous static blue text that they pull up instead of the traditional crawl again. And I was expecting they would do something different because it's a TV show. They've got a tendency of doing that if it's not the main movies now, which is nice. I
Yeah, I
thought it
know.
was very, very punchy, straight to the point, set the stage very well, and I thought it was a lovely way to sort of reflect that traditional Star Wars intro whilst doing it a bit differently too.
Yeah, there was a. I wouldn't necessarily call it an upbeat bit of music at the beginning as well, but something to get you in the mode. This is something not necessarily major, but something big is happening or coming
Yeah.
up uh, to that. So
And the music on that point, I noticed it throughout, so we'll talk about it a few times, but the music throughout both episodes was utterly fantastic. I was zoned in for the entirety of the two episodes, and a big part of that was the music.
yeah, no, I completely agree. I love that to start with. Then you see this lady coming through that we've probably seen all in all the trailers and propaganda coming out about it. Um, Talking to somebody. I don't know if they were begging or just had a pot full of change and money, asking where your Jedi is, presuming that every area or every planet has a Jedi. Um, and yeah, she gave a bit of money to that person for the thing. I believe, or at least two episodes in, that's becoming a sort of a theme that she's happy to give a little bit of money to somebody for information. So,
Yes, seems to be. She's on the planet. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Yoda? Yoda? Something like that?
something like
EUDA,
that,
I
or
think.
Vida, or you do, yeah, you do, something like that, yeah.
The
Might look,
first, sorry, the first thing that I thought when I saw her walking down towards that person that she gives the credits to was, it's the mysterious stranger from Ghostwall. Um, and I didn't recognize the alien species that took her credits either. So I've made a note. Is this a new alien? Is it like right away? I didn't recognize it.
I didn't pay that much attention to exactly the species, but wouldn't surprise me, yeah. So, and again, we got various new planets, or at least planets that have not appeared in Ahsoka, Kenobi, the films. Uh,
Several of them as well, which was very nice. That they're
yeah,
exploring new ground.
yeah. I'm wondering how long though before they run out of, or either run out of planets or have about 5 million planets named in all the TV and film shows.
Heck,
But
I'm just waiting and wondering how long it's going to take until they get us to Tatooine. You know, we land there all the time. They're bound to take us there at some point.
at some point, yeah, we've had. Oh, we won't get into the code planet yet, but yeah, we've got a code planet, but it's not Hoth. So anyway, this lady walks into a cantina bar, yeah, and looking for Master Adar or Anadare. I'm trying to
I didn't
remember.
catch the name actually, and I've caught most of the names going through, but I did not catch hers, which is a shame because I thought the actress that plays this Jedi Master is absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, I completely agree. Yeah, she got me interested, as in this looked like a somebody who I could get behind quite quickly.
So Master Indara.
That's the one. Um, Meeting her actually in the nicest way. It's actually nice to see like an older female Force user as well. Um, she's not that old, but she's younger than your like teen slash 20 something person. Actually, I think Ray may have been, or at least Ray as actor is maybe in her early 30s now, but it is nice to have somebody that's, let's say, older than me currently. So it gets up to this group of table. I don't know what the conversation was going on there or whatever happened, if there was anything happened or they would just all happen to be on the same table. But I found it interesting that she said, attack me, or for something very close to that. She was offering her to come and start the fight.
Yeah, attack means everything you've got.
Attack.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was an interesting one. It's alluding to the fact that well, I won't skip ahead. At that point in time, it just comes across like she's trying to um, bait the Jedi into attacking her. And first thought was bar fight. And then the second, as we go into that battle, that fight, it felt like I was watching The Matrix. It was so cool to see an action sequence and a Jedi fight without really using weapons for most of it. You know, the lightsaber was barely out.
I agree with that. But before I comment on the weapons lightsaber, yeah, it is it is nice to have a East Asian sort of like fight scene rather than your typical Western fight
It was
scene.
very martial arty.
Yes,
And
yeah.
I loved that. I train in Shotokan karate, so I was sitting there absolutely in love with this scene.
Oh, yeah. It was the stopping was like the force. It was, yeah. Whether it was the weapons, whether it was the her moving or pushing people forward or backwards. Um, but one thing when you said weapons, that it was like Indara brought out the lightsaber, and it was like she quoted was the big bad was May, who we find out her name is later, said a Jedi is, and they should plan on using it. Jedi shouldn't take their weapon
She was basically
out.
saying, if a Jedi takes a weapon out only when they're prepared to kill.
Yeah, which I don't know if that let's say put her off, but it made her think enough. And again, this looks like it is a theme coming around, which we might get into later. But this seems like a running theme that make the person think. But once you've done that, it was a case of she was attacking the side of throw a knife at the bartender, which made her stop what she was doing or made her concentration go, and that's where she was stabbed.
So this was a very dark side Sithy approach to the battle, and a very intelligent one as that. Use your opponent's weaknesses against them. A Jedi's weakness is compassion and defending the innocent, as far as a dark sider goes, right? They see that as their weakness. May use that to her advantage right away. Threaten the bartender, right? Forces Inada to protect bartender so she can't protect herself. Game over. Very, very clever.
It is. It's a different way of doing it, and it's just like instead of just going through with a lightsaber, back and forth.
It
Yeah,
was the only way to break this, what I'll call a stalemate, but ultimately Master and Nada had that fight. There was no way she wasn't winning it until that point.
yeah, um, precisely. And it's just like she was being a stoic Jedi to a degree when she could. Now that for me was a in my pros for the start. Next, we ended up on. Did it? Was it on Coruscant next?
Ooh,
Gone.
ooh. Before we jump to that, I want to make one more note. Um, After she's killed Anada and May heads towards exiting the bar, she comes up to the barman and she's about to kill him. What does she notice?
A little kid.
The
Yeah.
little kid that stops her. And that's a very interesting point for when we get into episode 2 and we start obviously seeing a little bit more about May and our protagonist and the history, right? So I won't go too much more into that, but that's an important point to come back to. At that point, I've got it down that basically, she wakes up on a spaceship, or at least we think it's the same person. The first
Yes.
thought I had was, ooh, it's a flashback, because she looks a bit cleaner. She doesn't have that tattoo on her head. Um, this has gone back in time, but it hasn't gone back in time. It hasn't at all.
Agreed.
Couple of points I'll note right away here. Love the cute tiny utility droid. I've already forgotten its name, but it's adorable. Pin, something like that.
It's slash Pip or it's a Pip droid. I don't know if they've all got the name Pip, but this one definitely has. That is a unique droid slash alarm clock slash information.
Yeah, droid slash utility belt, all in one. The Pip is lovely. One of my new top favorite droids, I think. Love it. And then of course she comes out of the room and starts heading towards where she's going, and you see a conch droid. Two droids in the space of about 30 seconds. So I was happy with that too. And then she turns a corner. The Trade Federation aliens that we see from episode 1. They're back
and
in
the trade
this.
and the Trade Federation actually get mentioned
They
as
do.
well, um, which was interesting. That these group of uh, group of worlds, I'm going to say, were I
Around
think
100 years
around.
before
Yeah,
episode 1. And what was the other thing I was going to say as well? The spacewalk, which I've noted is, to my memory, only the second spacewalk that we've ever seen in Star Wars. The first one was Ahsoka,
so cool.
unless
Yeah,
unless you count a certain episode from Clone Wars when Clo Plune goes out into the vacuum of space with a couple of clone troopers. I just
the
remembered
only
that there.
the only one was other one was like landing on an asteroid ish, or at least in a mouth of a beast on a thing with masks on. But that's
That was
in the
mask.
original
That was the air mask. It
air
wasn't
mask.
covering anything from a face
Yeah,
perspective. So not a vacuum, but I'll give you it. I'll give you that.
yeah.
Um,
But it got me thinking. Look when I saw the boat. The feet go down in there, and think it did make me think of a certain other franchise where it was just like, ooh,
it
that looks very Star Trekky, and
it
it's like,
took me straight to First Contact at the
yeah,
deflector dish.
oh no, I completely it did. It did for me as well. And before that, I want to quickly mention she did, or not her friends mentioned Nar Shaddaa before that, going and having a good night out on Nar Shaddaa,
Yes, that's
where
right.
she didn't go out. So heads up for there. I can imagine there being casinos, lots of bars, restaurants, and such like. That,
Indeed.
but back to there, you pick up that that's where you find her tragic backstory, all this stuff. She's got flames in her head, or not in her, literally in her head, but her thinking about what we later find out was her village town burned down with most of the people she knew, or she thought everybody they knew. Yeah. To me, at the moment, I'm not necessarily getting completely behind that. I'm just using that's to me. That's just part of the story. That's just saying, yeah, she had a hurtful past.
Yeah, all that does is introduces a trauma. that freezes her on the spot. And very shortly after that, you see this very cool, flighty little starship zoom past, and all of a sudden the Trade Federation, like, oh my god, it's a Jedi. And again, it's like this is just episode one, The Phantom Menace again, isn't it? Oh my god, it's a Jedi coming. But I couldn't help but get quite excited seeing the Jedi starship coming in. I'm like, finally, we get to see some Jedi from the High Republic in live action.
Yeah,
Um,
and when they actually walked on, it was just like, yeah, that looks like a typical Jedi and their Padawan. It was just like
and how cool were the outfits?
they were very good. It was just
Those
like,
robes are phenomenal. The costume team have outdone themselves on this show.
um,
Not only did they look like Jedi, they looked like really cool Jedi.
yeah, they did. It got me going. That's how I always imagine Jedi Jedi going around in pairs, almost like Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, but yeah, but not necessarily up at that upper echelons of power, but that's what I would atypically imagine.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Master and pupil, basically.
yeah,
That's what's happening.
yeah, to get them some experience. Uh, yeah, and then basically accuse her of killing a Jedi, and we also find out she was a former Jedi and had been out of training for about 8 years.
Yep.
So
Indeed, we do. And yeah, at this point, I'm thinking, is it a clone of her? So, has someone taken some polyjuice potion from another well-known franchise? What's going on here? How can she be in two places at once? That can't possibly be true. Um, and of course, they take her off that ship, all cuffed up, ready to go. And then they cutscene us to that gorgeous view of the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. And you get to see the Jedi at the height of their power, basically, again. Um, younglings, which are brilliant. You get introduced to Master Sol, who is a very well established Jedi Master. He's teaching them, and he's going through a lot of philosophy with them. Um, at that point, I was so full of hype and excitement at being back in an era where the Jedi were everywhere. Um, this is what I love
yeah,
about Star Wars. It is I'm one of those typical people who love the laser swords and the Force users, and this is what I loved about the prequel trilogy was the fact that you saw lots of Jedi. So good to have that back, and of
yeah,
course
and
more awesome outfits.
definitely. And before I get too much into this, but we do find out you can have Jedi dropouts, as in that there is a thing that not everybody becomes a Jedi Knight or and such
That's a
like.
fair point because I hadn't acknowledged that as something new to learn, but again, that's because I'd watched Clone Wars, and they cover that in Clone Wars. So for anyone who hasn't watched the animated stuff, which there are fans out there who haven't, absolutely, that would be the first time they'd see or hear anything like that. From a present day canon perspective. I'll get back to that in a minute.
Yeah. But one thing I did notice that um, Master So does seem to have a bit of, let's say, it's an attachment issue potentially there. It was just like you do seem several points starting from here going. He seems sad that she had killed somebody, a former apprentice, and
He couldn't
using
believe
his
it.
feelings as lot, and yeah, couldn't believe it. And I have a feeling that he didn't actually ever believe it, to be honest. And I've got a thought in a minute, which when we get to it, we will do. But
Um,
actually, no, I'm going to say it now. Go on.
no, I was gonna say I'm probably on the same wavelengths as you, I expect, because I started thinking it there a little bit, and then I think we got through to the end of episode 1 into the start of episode 2, and I'm like, yeah, I think I'm onto something.
Yeah, I'm going to say it now, but I have a feeling he knew, or he knew she had a twin sister, and I think he suspected that it might have been his twin sister.
Oh no, no, he definitely knew that she had a twin sister.
Oh
He
yes,
he definitely knew that,
yeah,
and I think he knew she was still alive
interesting.
because he tells a Padawan around about that scene or one of the subsequent ones.
Scenes.
He tells a Padawan he saw her die, and then he tells someone else, "Oh, she's alive." She was. Oh, I'm sorry. She was not confirmed dead, but she was basically confirmed dead without being found. So he's told someone one thing and someone the other thing. I'm like, you totally knew. He knows. He's part of the wider conspiracy, which is starting to unravel as she goes into season 2. Not season 2, episode 2. But I will not get ahead of myself, which is
Yeah,
very,
no, I'm
very
trying not to.
difficult.
Oh, it completely is. It completely is. But yeah, here,
Oh,
gone.
sorry. The other thing, the master that comes through, who I'm guessing is either a council member master or maybe a grandmaster at the time, because she definitely ranks above Sol.
Yeah,
I can't remember her name just now, but she's a Mary Allen.
and I was so glad to see Mary Allen's there.
Me too. I mean, I've only ever seen them in um, Star Wars: The Old Republic, and in again, I think it's Clone Wars, Rebels, Bad Batch. There's one character I think who's a Mary Allen that you come across occasionally, uh, and that's it. So to see Mary Allen, and I'm going to throw this out as well in case I forget. You see Zabrek too. We'll get onto that later.
Yeah, I probably did notice, but not. I
Yeah.
don't really remember now.
Okay. I'm making an educated guess that she's a Zabrek.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But yeah, we'll get to that in a minute.
So, cut to the chase. They end up going off to rescue her with two other people, Padawan and Jedi Jedi Knight. Um,
The same
and
Jedi Knight who um oh, hang on a minute. Yeah, we've skipped a bit.
yes, we have. There
We've
is one
skipped a
thing I
bit.
want to get to actually before we do it, and that was the prison ship, which was
Yes.
completely run by droids. And I did want to talk about this. There is
Yes.
something there that this is not not manned, but
Well, I find that interesting, and it's definitely a big flaw.
yes, we find that in this case it is a flaw.
So the prison ship, as you said, it's run by droids. I've got a note here. Cool droid chairs. Because the
Yeah,
droids piloting the ship are actually the chairs if anyone was wanting to actually sit there as well. I thought that was really, really cool.
okay, I've got to drop the tone here, but surely that is from Aeroplane. That has got to be a reference to that.
Could be, could be. And then you see Ocean trying to reach Pip as the ship started to crash because the jailbreaks happened. She's been abandoned, and them firing out of the escape pod has sent the ship hurtling towards doom. So she's trying to reach Pip, and then she decides to try and reach out with the Force. I just got a moment there of that's very Kyle Katarn. If anyone doesn't know who Kyle Katarn is, in Legends, so most specifically in the Star Wars Jedi Knight game series, Kyle Katarn's your protagonist. And for the games that I played with his character, he was an exiled Jedi who, through the course of the games, was reconnecting to the Force and regaining his powers and finding his place as a Jedi again. And I really started to get that feeling with Ocean as she was starting to try and reconnect and reach out with the Force and failed. So yeah, I like what they're doing with her there.
Yeah, and actually, her when they actually do the breakout and don't break her out, her trying to get that pad using the force, it was just like she. I put her as she's either weak or combination of that, and she is out of practice.
Definitely out of
That
practice. That's the out of practice.
yeah,
She's the way I'm looking at this is the same way as I looked at Calcutta. She's cut herself off from the force. She's decided not to use it. She's decided not to reach out with it. So she's totally out of practice and can't reconnect herself.
no, no, that's fair enough, and I haven't taken thought about it exactly like that. I just put it down to out of practice, but yeah, it's fair enough. And that ship, though, when you saw it crash landing, I don't know what type it is, or even if that we know what type it is yet. But it looks actually spectacular. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, and on that, even with the animated series, pretty much every single crash landing, they hide behind trees or hills or mountains or something, and you don't really see much of it. This is the first time I can remember seeing a full-on ship crashing in Star Wars. It was cool. Destructive,
Oh,
but
brilliant!
cool.
And this is the second time. I would hopefully make this the last, but second time I'm going to reference Star Trek. But these guys have seatbelts.
Yes, they do. Although they didn't hold, did they? She woke up on the ground. But at least it definitely saved her. Definitely saved her.
Definitely so. But yeah,
Um,
always wear a seatbelt. But
Absolutely. Safety
um,
first. So yeah, you get
first.
that cutscene back again where they've been notified at the Jedi Temple on Coruscant that frozen ship's crashed. So Master Sol goes out to find her with Yord, who's the Jedi Knight who originally captured her, and a Padawan. Can't remember her name, but she is the one I'm assuming is a Zabrak. So she's got this interesting, I don't think it's a tattoo, but interesting markings on her face.
Yeah.
But she's got the horns around her hair running down like that, and they are
Oh,
those big pointy ones. She looks very Zabrak to me.
I didn't realize those were horns. I was wondering what they were, and I didn't put two and two together that she was a Zabrak or potentially a
Yes.
Zabrak.
I
Mm,
think she's Zabrak, and I love that because, again, I don't think we've seen many live action Zabrak. Maul technically is a Zabrak, but a different subspecies.
yeah, there's
Um,
two kinds. Yeah,
yeah, and again, like I note here because you cut from that to Ocean waking up, or you supposedly waking up, and it's with that big shock and sort of panting the same way she did at the start of the episode. So, but this lassie wakes up shocked and suddenly quite a lot, doesn't she? um,
yeah,
it's quite a quiet aftermath of the prison ship crash. But there's a reason for that because all of a sudden she sees this person walking out of the ship that she goes to follow, which adds to the mysteriousness. And I've lost a bit of my memory as to what happens through that. But ultimately, it's her sister that she's seeing. Um, the, then everything goes a bit weird. You realise she's in a vision, realizing that it's her sister that killed Master Nada, and she's actually her sister's alive, and then she actually wakes up. It was a nice little. Oh, that was a bit I want to add. It was a nice little bit of a scene change, but during that sequence, there's a lovely transition from Ocean as an adult talking to her sister as a child, and all of a sudden Ocean's a child, so it's like she's been pulled back to that traumatic point in time, talking to her sister the way she remembered everything back then. It was lovely, lovely piece of cinematic.
yeah, and yeah, I agree. It's lovely, and the two things I want to just add is there was almost a jokey part with um, the Padawan saying to the Jedi Master before this is when they sprung on him that they're going somewhere. He was in the middle of changing. And it was like,
You've
get put your
yeah.
clothes on.
Yeah, it was a love. I've noted this as well. Lovely detail. So first off, they change their robes for traveling, so they're in totally different coloured and styled outfits for going at the temple versus when they're in the temple. I love that detail. And yeah, when they go on board the ship, the master and the Padawan, Yord's there getting himself. I think he's ironing or something and getting himself
Yeah,
organized, and he's all prim and proper. And oh, I'm sorry, it won't happen again. And she just looks at him after Sol leaves and says, "Yord, put your clothes on." It's so good, so witty, and
yeah.
it's very nice because
That could have
Yord.
gone totally wrong, but yeah, that.
It could have, but then it's like you can almost see Sol through his eyes, kind of going, "I'm gonna have fun with this," an actor. But it's nice to see that. What am I trying to say here? There's a dynamic with Yord. He's like trying to. I feel he's trying to prove himself. He's trying to be a proper Jedi and encompass everything. And even between this little Zabrak Padawan and Master Sol, yes, there's this um, devotion to the Force and the Jedi and the Republic, but they can also relax. They're a lot more connected to themselves, which is ironic, especially to say of a Padawan when a knight isn't in that place. So Yord has actually probably got a bit more developing to do than that little Padawan has.
Yeah, I've noticed that as well. Yeah, and then there was the final scene nearest down it as the episode, and that was so making sure she or stopping her fall off, trying to stop her falling off the cliff, walking off the cliff, and then stopping her falling off the cliff. And
The,
yeah,
the Force reach out to keep her from falling. And when Master Sol just had her hovering in the air, that was really cool.
yeah, and then yeah, that's the moment where you definitely it's like I completely believe you. Yeah, no argument from me. So and even though the Jedi did. So, any more thoughts on that?
Let's see. So, um, I do, but I'm very aware of time, so I'm gonna have to wind all this up with um. So we know by the end of episode 1 that Ocean has a twin, May, and I noticed something at the start of episode 2 in the logo for the Acolyte. The O is split, so it's like two circles which are like splitting out. And again, I had a flashback to Star Trek. This time, Star Trek Picard season 1. The necklace that Soji and Asha. Soji, is it Asha?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
No, Soji
fine.
and Daj. The the
Daj.
the the, the, the
Because it was
necklace.
Soji Asher and Daj Asher.
That's it. Soji and Daj have is of it's almost identical. It's the two circles together. Because that symbol represents twins to them. Now, I always thought that was something specific to them, but it looks like it's probably something more wider known and more symbolic than I'd realised, because they've used that. So even the title, to me, it was hinting at that twin element of the story right away. And obviously, you've also got light side on one and dark side on the other, so you've got twins in different directions.
Yeah. And
Um,
while we're on this, actually, what do you reckon of the titles? Like Lost, Found on for the opening episode. For the second one, it's Revenge slash Justice. Yes,
Opposites,
that's
aren't they? They're
they are. And there's no and on it. It's slash. It's
it's either
which is I find
lost.
unusual.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. It's either lost or it's found. It's either revenge or it's justice.
Maybe it's and it is and there's going it from two perspectives, and these can intermingle between each other.
Well, and
Um,
I think you're right. They do both intermingle in terms of actual themes to the episodes. In episode 1, the themes of Lost and Found are both explored. In episode 2, which we'll talk about in a second, Revenge and Justice are both explored. It'll be interesting to see what the next one is.
yeah,
The
and
last thing I want to say, sorry, on episode 1 is the mysterious master at the very end on that ocean setting ignites the lightsaber talking through a mask. And they say an acolyte kills without a weapon. An acolyte kills the dream, talking about the fact that the Jedi doctrine is a dream, and you can't kill a dream with something physical. You've got to do it a different way. And
And we'll probably find more into that in the current episode, Revenge and Justice. I think we'll probably explore more into that.
we will indeed, but that was a very important end to episode 1 that
Oh,
ties into the episode 2 theme that we're looking at.
I'll completely get it. That was a
And who's the
good
master?
ending to.
It was good to see the master at the end, so you know there's a master apprentice thing going on, and it isn't just
Yeah,
this one person out for revenge. You know,
definitely, definitely. So, again, we start off. This time it's on. I thought it was. They said Omega to start with, but it's like Omega or something like
Olega,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
Olega, something like that.
And by the certain things, they said as this May was coming up, it was like she had was heading for the local Jedi temple, and that makes it feel like there's lots of little temples scattered all over the galaxy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like little hubs, like that, like little offices almost. I love that.
many offices. I like that. I love it. And then she bribed somebody else to help get her into the Jedi temple there, or the local Jedi temple. Um, Again, and she goes. You find her hunting another Jedi, and it's like we later find out there is a theme to this, but this one is, in my opinion, unique. You have him floating in the middle of a very small room, or in comparison to a lot of the other rooms anyway, and he has his own force field.
Yeah,
The pun completely intended, and it's just like
yeah, I loved
yeah,
it. I absolutely loved it. I called it a force field. No, I like force field. A force field. I just thought it was really. I've used this term a lot. It's so vague, but it's really, really cool to see a Jedi meditating and hovering of their own accord at the same time. That was awesome. And I didn't expect the force field at all. It totally stumped me. She had no idea how she was getting past it.
yeah, and she escaped and had to have a rethink about it. She wasn't persistent about it, and she had a unique way. We don't completely know why yet, but I was wondering why he didn't say anything, at least in the Force, or to anybody else in the temple when that person, the other Jedi, walked in the person who was meditating there, and it was just like that there was somebody in here.
He's not spoken to anyone for 10 years,
10 years,
which
yes,
ties in to whatever all of this is about. We find out watching this. So
yeah,
um,
but even to the
he's
Force is like up there or something. I don't know.
yeah. Although I think as that master came in, he looked up, didn't he? Looked up at the skylight. It's kind of like, yeah, you know, she came from there. Well, that's where she went, I should say.
Yeah,
Um,
but that was interesting. And then I
well,
don't know. Go on.
I would say because after that, I think it jumps into the intro sequence, and then you see another scene on the spaceship with Yord and Sol, and I've got a note here. I'm loving the relationship that was put in between them. It reminds me very much of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon Jinn. So like Yord isn't afraid to challenge his master and basically speak up and speak out. And equally, Sol, being the master, is not scared to counsel, advise, and very directly correct Yord as well. And you find that kind of mentorship with a little bit of angst relationship between Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, which I think worked very well for those two. I love seeing that build up between them two. and
Okay.
especially Sol, as you see other things happening through this, and I'll get back to it in a little bit. Um, there are certain elements of his character which remind me of Qui-Gon Jinn.
No, fair enough. I don't see as much, but yeah, I can see that a little bit more daring or outgoing than maybe
I'll
some of the others.
convince you with the scene towards the end of the episode. I'll guarantee it.
Oh, cool! I look forward to it. Um, we also find out trying to work out why these tech mechs, what they're called, the people who go out on the top of the outside of the ship and go wondering why the droids don't do it. And to be honest, the only answer we got is she's more flexible, and so was Pick for that matter.
And they're more
Um,
fun too.
yeah, um, we don't really get an answer to that, but it's interesting that is a job for some people. Um, unless you've got any more to say there, I'm going to just say one of the things I do love from this is the towns and the markets and the shops, going through the crowded area, seeing all the people at their leisure or at their work, and or even in a drunken stupor in a shop that you've nabbed or nicked or killed the owner or something like that. So
I agree with you. It's lovely to see that side of Star Wars. You don't see that very often.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Well, she got it. So May walked into this shop where obviously she was expecting somebody to be there by some way or the other, and managed to wake him up from his stupor, um, and realize she is relying on somebody to get her stuff, and in this occasion, poison. Um, there's a couple of things I want to pick out from this scene. You learn a lot. She is looking like she's trying to kill somebody without the weapons, which maybe a flashback to the end of the first episode. Um, also, you find out she's got two more people uh, to kill, and which we later find out that they were all on I think her home planet.
mhm.
And the other thing out she mentioned to us, which is relating to that, she's running out of time.
Yep. And
It's
the guy that she's talking to mentions, yes, she's trying to kill without weapons, but the first Jedi she killed was with a weapon. This second Jedi that she's going to kill will be with a weapon because it's poison. And it's going against what the Master's instructing her to do. If he finds out, it's not going to go down well.
yeah. I am wondering. I I have a thought going this, and I will say this now. I think she's trying to kill each person in a slightly different way, and almost it made me think of the film Seven,
Mm-hmm. Like Seven Deadly
whereas
Sins kind of thing.
doing each thing separately. And I'm thinking for the last person, it's going to be So, and I think she is going to try to get him angry or him to the place where she can set up a fight that works well for her.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see that play out. Definitely.
Any thoughts on the any of that? To be honest, actually,
No, you've rounded that off quite well. I don't have too much else to add. There was a scene, I can't remember if it was before or after this, between Ocean and Sol on the Jedi Starship, where you finally start to see some of their relationship coming out, which I really liked because that built some character development between the two of them. You can tell, really tell at this point how much Sol cares for Ocean, and you can see Ocean missing Sol and missing his guidance. And she clearly has a respect for the Jedi. as well. You see that a little bit in episode 1 too. She does have a respect for the Jedi, despite the fact that she didn't stay with them.
Yeah.
So I guess moving on, unless I'm missing a bit. So if I start talking and I have, jump in and tell me. But May gets the poison to Torben and he takes it. And he asks for forgiveness before he willingly takes it. So you know that whatever he's done has forced him into the silence for a decade, and he'd rather kill himself than do anything else at this point. So it's been
Oh,
something terrible that he was involved in. So there's definitely a conspiracy of some kind that happened surrounding those four Jedi.
yeah, and he was expecting her, and he waited specifically for the second time
Yeah,
for her to come back.
yeah,
It's
because it was in that second time that he decided to acknowledge her and start talking.
yeah, and I am intrigued where that goes. It's like
Me too, and I think we'll find out soon. These episodes are very fast paced. They're short, only about 30 minutes or so long each, but they are fast paced, loads happening, and the story is progressing quite quickly, I feel, which is a good thing. It's a good
no,
thing.
definitely. So what they are doing is ended up deciding to get Ocean there hiding as or disguised as May to try to find out more, which works reasonably well, I think.
Works very well. They get a recording not only stating that May was the person who murdered Anada and and Torben, but also that there's a master behind it as well.
Yes, and they go to try to find uh, that. And again, you end up in a fight with when they. I'm trying to remember which order this is. You have Ocean come out in the street and actually see her sister at some point, and she actually looks shocked to see her, or each other look shocked to see each other there.
And then Ocean misses with the stun blaster. Does she miss on purpose?
That's what I'm thinking. First one, yes, I was thinking, oh, she definitely did miss it, and then the second time I was like, hang on, and
That
then
second one,
I'm
maybe
still,
not so much.
yeah, I'm thinking she actually, yeah, well, yeah, I'm not sure now. I'm conflicted. Was that whether she was or not?
Yeah, because if she
Um,
missed on purpose, why would you try to fire again?
yeah, or was that a double bluff to like to convince yourself to sew?
Could be, could be. Who knows?
But
But Soul's saw right through it. I think the fight that consequently comes. I can't remember either if it was before or after that point. But the
I was
fight
before the last firefight. It
is
was
that
before,
before the last fight.
yeah, or
Oh,
before the
okay, cool.
shooting on the car. Yeah, and yeah, that was again another kung fu type. I'm saying kung fu. There's lots of different martial arts,
I
but a
love
martial
it.
arts timed fight, and I love it. And when you had the ship, the Padawan come over and say you're under arrest as well. It was just like quite. I thought she actually mucked that up, and then realised that was actually the plan that they had supposed to do that, and then she uh Mace like put all that dirt and then went off and running into that vehicle and such like and disappeared. Or
Yes.
which
Yes, she did. And again, just to summarize, I loved that fight between her and Sol. And Sol one-upping her as well, grabbing pretty much all of her knives.
and
Because
dropping them as well.
she relies on those so much. You know, it's like, yeah, you've not been trained properly. But then she wasn't trained in the Jedi arts in the first place. It's not that I don't think it's Jedi arts at all that she was trained in. It's something else.
Or maybe a combination of there's something else
Mm.
and something that was self-taught.
Yeah, but this is the point though. Sol knows where she's going next. He's worked out who she's targeting, why she's targeting them, even though we don't know the full details yet. So he knows where she's going next. And this is the next bit that makes me see Qui-Gon Jinn in him quite a bit as well. He wants to go straight to wherever it is that she's going, and because he knows she's heading there. Why wait? We know she's there. We know we're after her. Let's go get her. There's nothing to talk about. The council wants to talk and debate and theorize and calculate and take their time and follow the guidance of the Force. And he said, but she's there. Can we just go get her, please? Qui-Gon is very much that.
I agree. Agreed. And there's something I want to pick up, and I've suddenly forgot what it is. So I'm going to say my other thing is I'm having a mind blank.
That's okay. While you think about that, I'll talk a bit about the very last scene. You sort of pan onto a planet which is all foresty and full of interesting looking creatures. And the first thing I'm thinking, and I'm writing it down, is Kofar, this looks like Kashyyyk. This looks lovely. This does properly look like Kashyyyk. And then, oh my word, there's a Wookiee using the Force. It's like I couldn't have made that up.
Oh no, I love that there is a Force user that is a Wookiee, and the way he takes that gun off a person and snaps it. And I'm wondering if the sign that they were reading was no trespassers or just something as simple as that, or whether it was something a lot more complicated than.
Or maybe even Jedi Temple.
Local Jedi temple, yeah.
He might be. I didn't see him wielding a lightsaber, but he might be a Jedi. I know there is at least one Wookiee Jedi in the High Republic era. Similar to how there is a Wookiee Jedi in the prequel movie era as well. You don't see them in the movies, but you do see him in the Clone Wars.
Yeah. Now, back to what I was thinking is each of the sisters didn't know the other one survived.
Yeah.
Now, I'm wondering how A, both of them survived, and B, what they had been told about each other. You're starting to find out a bit about one, but May, you haven't found story. I'm wondering how that fitted.
Yes,
And
how that clicks into place. And also, as far as Ocean's concerned, May started the fire and killed everyone.
Yeah, and why people thought that was the case.
What if she didn't?
Yeah, and it's a case of if you set the fire, why would you think? Wouldn't you try to have got your sister out with that look that she gave her
Depends
sister?
why she's setting the fire, doesn't it?
Yeah, good question. That answers asks a lot of questions. That makes it very interesting. And I'm quickly checking my notes to see have I gone over everything that I was going to. Actually, Semi one is like, why is she asked? She done this twice in the first episode. In this one, she asked them to attack her.
Yes.
Attack me. It's like
I have a theory about that. So in episode 1, when she says to Anada, "Attack me," and she says, "Jedi do not attack unarmed opponents," and then May says, "We both know that's a lie." So
that was interesting. Man.
I thought so too. So I think the reason she's doing that to try and egg them on and get them to attack is to challenge that hypocrisy that she sees there. So the Jedi say they never attack first, they never antagonize first, they only defend, but I've seen otherwise, I know the truth. So come on, I'm calling you out here. Show your true colours, attack me. I think that's what it is.
And maybe somebody at that fire burning of the village and where they lived was a Jedi, maybe.
Well, there were 4 Jedi on that planet at the point that happened.
Yeah, and we've actually, I believe, met all 4 now. So the 2 that are dead, the Wookiee, and So,
Yep.
to my knowledge. And I think there may be something else there possibly, or maybe the fourth is not So. This is another person possibly.
Could be. Could be. Well, see, the other theory I had is what if Soul's not the fourth? What if the fourth is Ocean? She wasn't a Jedi back then, but she has been a Jedi. So could be Ocean.
Yeah.
That'd be a possible twist they throw in there. And then what are the motives of this mysterious master of May? What?
And she got no idea who she is, who
Yeah,
she is, who they are.
they
To be
are.
honest,
Yeah, indeed.
yeah,
She doesn't. She doesn't know because we don't even know. Like we could guess. We've seen a couple of different promotional images. Um, there's at least one other character who is female, who I believe is a baddie, inverted commas.
hmm
But we'll just need to wait and see, won't we?
it is, and I'm excited about this.
Hmm.
Generally, do you think these two episodes were done well, and do you think this is? Are you excited for what's coming forward, or ready for what's coming forward?
Yeah, I loved these first two episodes. I was hooked the whole way through watching both of them. I thought the cinematography was second to none. The music was stellar. It was brilliant. It really got me interested and absorbed into the moment. Every single scene. The costume design was brilliant. The makeup was phenomenal. The acting was terrific. Across all the actors that we saw, even the little youngling kids as well, they did brilliantly. Um, all in all, and the story, it's got me intrigued, interested. I'm not bored. It's at a perfect pace. I am really, really eager. Like, I just want more episodes. It's like, give me more, give me more, give me more. And I've got to wait, which means it'll be worth the wait, I'm sure. So, absolutely, absolutely loved these first two episodes. I'm looking forward to what's coming next. And I was going to say something else and it's gone out of my head. So, I'll stop waffling. But what do you think?
I completely agree with you. I'm intrigued about this completely, and I believe we've got eight. Is I can't remember if it's 8 more episodes or 6 more episodes to come. But considering we've got rid of two of the baddies yet, and we're potentially lining up for the next one, there is more to this to come.
A lot more.
And yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I can't wait to see how this makes its way out.
Yes, yes. And here's the last question for you, because there's been lots of rumors flying around. You know, we know a certain character from the movie trilogies is alive and well at this point in time. Do you think we might get a little cameo mention or even scene or two with one Master Yoda?
I reckon it may be a reference, but I'm going to just say he's probably busy on some other mission far, far away, and he won't appear. I presume I'm going to presume he gets referenced at some point. Master Yoda said this or something like that, but
I want to see him. I definitely want the references, but I want to see him at least once. And I'm not even talking a massive part. Just even just 5 seconds. That'd be nice.
it, yeah,
Just for nostalgia.
if I'm going to see him, I either want to see the back of him in a distance, or at the end where it's just like we pan to them talking to Manda Yoda or Master Yoda, or about to go in to talk to Yoda, and you just see him briefly, and they cut it there. That will do for me. I don't particularly want any more. It's like I
As I
want
said,
something
five
nearly
seconds.
original.
I
Yeah,
just want 5 seconds. He doesn't even need to talk. It could be a scene just like that. As long as you can
yeah,
see him. I just
yeah.
want this. I just want the nostalgia for that one little bit. That will not make or break this season in any way. It will be irrelevant to me whether it happens or not in terms of this story and all that, but I just want to see him.
No, fair enough. Yeah, I will be. I won't complain about, let's say, an R2D2 C3PO appearance like they did in Rogue One. So
Well,
where you see them talk a little bit. I'm
mm,
not saying the droids. I don't want necessarily say droids because I know one's being hasn't been built yet, and I'm not sure about R2. But
yeah, because they have
it's
mentioned R2 units already, so we know they were around in this time period.
but, but my one is saying I want an appearance like you saw R2 and C3PO in Rogue One. I want an appearance. If
Like
I'll be
that.
happy with that. Yeah.
Yeah, me
Nobody
too.
tells me
That
anything.
sounds good.
Anyway, can I say thank you for listening or watching? Um, I hope you enjoyed this. I would love to hear anybody's thoughts. Uh, Again, you can find me on Trek Wars and Fantasy on YouTube and uh, TikTok and via the Apple Podcast and Olympus. Where can we find you?
So yeah, you can also find me on Trek Wars and Fantasy co-hosting so many of these episodes now. And just a big special thank you, Ben, for letting me take part in all of these. I really, really enjoy doing them with you. It's great,
And,
great fun.
and thank you for coming along and joining me for these.
Oh, thank you, mate. You can also find me on Twitch, on my own YouTube channel, on Twitter, and on what's it called? TikTok. All of that, Olympus0511. Please remember not to put a space between Olympus and 0, otherwise, you'll just get a list of cameras instead of a list of me followed by cameras.
Yeah. Now, thank you for watching, and we haven't got a title for next week, at least the last time I checked. So hopefully you can join us for episode 3.
Yes, and for now, may the Force be with you.
Always.